Good morning and welcome to Motivational Monday. For those who don't know me, I'm Cheryl Andrews, the founder of Step by Step Listening, and I'm on a mission to change the way the world listens. I want to help you manage your critics so that you can hear with absolute clarity and confidence what it is you'd love to do more of and how to ditch the critic that says you can't. So welcome. Today's subject on the Motivational Monday video is all about, is your diary too small or too big? Now, one of the big things I found with people is I'd ask people what they'd like to happen. Once they got clarity of what they wanted, for many people, that was all that was needed. Once they knew what they wanted, it was just that they were stuck. Should I do this? Should I do that? And some people thought it was an either or. And once we got really clear that you can have it all, and it's just about really being really clear. So if work was just the way you wanted it to be, if you're living your life just the way you wanted, if you were learning and growing and evolving and looking after yourself, you can have it all. If you want wealth, health, and happiness, you can have it all, as long as you get clarity of what does wealth mean to you, what does health mean to you, what does happiness mean to you. And if you follow the clarity process in the book, ask yourself the questions, you can check your language out to see what you mean by each of those individual words. You can see whether you're always talking about wealth, health, and happiness as being a future thing, or are you talking about noticing what's happening right now in the present? Are you celebrating everything that you've ever had of health, wealth, and happiness in the past? Where is your attention? We look at all of that things, reflection, what feedback are you getting? If other people are telling you that you're not happy, but actually you are you believing their feedback? So the clarity process is all in the book. And that talks you through how to get clarity and how to change the story that you tell yourself in order to get clarity of what you want, what you have, and what you've always had, and to celebrate that and really embrace it. And for many people, when I work with them, that's all they need is clarity. However, good morning, Loretta, Susie, lovely to see you this morning. For some people, knowing what they wanted was not enough, and time was the other thing. So Susie, we had a fantastic conversation about, was it, I don't know, 2 or 3 years ago, comment down. Susie came to me and she really wanted to be able to work and live from Kefalonia in a beautiful island in Greece. And in her mind, it was going to be 2 years before they could get there. But when we mapped it all out, it was doable, and she was actually in Kefalonia in 6 months. So why does that happen? Well, it's to do with our perceptions of time and space. And when I help people to start thinking about how you perceive time, so if you go back through the clarity process and ask yourself, time for you is like what? Listen to the language that you're using. So we're looking at the L again. So looking at the language we're using around time. And does your language always say, I haven't got enough, or it's too far away? So is your attention in what's not working about time, or what is working about time? Reflection, what are you giving yourself feedback of? And so one of the ways we get reflection and feedback is what other people say, the feedback we give to ourselves, but also how we interpret information around us. And one of the ways that we see time is in our diaries. When I'm working with clients, one of the things that can be really difficult is that the way that our memory works is often we have to look up. If we're trying to remember something, we might look up, okay? But when we look down to a diary, our memory won't necessarily be as affected. So it might be affecting your perception of time that way. So that's why we work with people and think about actually post-it noting it and put it on the board. It's why vision boards are important. It's why putting pictures and moving them in different places. Now, for me, what I know is my memory spot is right up here. So if I've got a new thing that I want to create, a new pattern or a new behavior, I'll put it up here. For now, it probably takes, I don't know, 4 or 5 days, because I know it's there and I keep looking at it every day, and eventually it becomes something I remember, and I don't need it to be up there anymore. So, but if you have a diary, imagine, I've seen it before, if you've got a little tiny diary, you know, like the little tiny long thin ones that fits in your handbag, for those of the ladies, and you open it up and you've got a little space like this for the day, and you write 3 things in there that you've got to do. What can happen is you start looking at that and you go, your day is full. When actually, if you're anything like, I get up at 5:30 in the morning, I don't go to bed till 10 o'clock. And yet for me, often I look at my diary as being sort of from 8 till 4 as when because that's when I like to work. It's not always when I do work, but I look at 8 till 4 and go, that's how much time I've got to do things. And it might be because you've said that's your work time and the other time is leisure time. So one of the things I would say to you is think about how big your diary is, because if you've got a very small diary, it's fine if it's just a to-do list. It's fine if it's just there as a reminder the important things that you have to get done that day. But if you look at your diary and your critic is going, oh, my diary feels full, that is a feeling, that's a perception. And therefore you have to look at it differently. It's about mapping out, maybe looking at your diary on a bigger piece of paper, spacing it all out, giving yourself more space, getting it so it's down to minutes rather than just hours, and actually think, okay, what have I got to do? Get your to-do list, and then working out what's important, and then planning it into your diary so it's effective. Now, the other way is your diary might be really big, and so you put a couple of things at the top, and so you always believe you've got more time than you have, and therefore you often don't get around to doing things because you perceive you've got all day, you don't get started. So just think about, is your diary too big or too small? And if you're not using a diary, one of the things I found really difficult for myself is that by writing it in a diary, kinesthetically, I was helping myself remember it. And so because I remembered it, I felt more settled. And when I had changed to electronic diaries, what I've realized is that I just couldn't connect with it. So even now, today, this morning, I've got a to-do list, I've got a CRM system, but I have sat and written down, because I've got quite a lot on over the next couple of weeks and some really big deadlines I really don't want to miss. And I'm not prepared to hit those deadlines at the expense of my health, because my fitness goals are really important right now. And there are some family responsibilities that come up that I didn't know I had, that I want to rejig. I want to be there for my family. And so I've had to map it out and actually look at what's important. And I'm going through the whole week looking at my to-do list, working out where I can move it. But what I've had to do is extend my diary so that I actually put in at 5:30, I'm going to do X, Y, and Z in the morning. And in the evening, I'm going to do some of my planning and strategy. Now, I know that doesn't work for me long term, but because I've done a year's plan before, I know I can sustain this for 2 weeks. And I've got a long weekend off at Maybank holiday, and I'll be able to recoup my energy. So from a working, learning, and living my best, because I've done my planning before, I know what works for me, and I can start to rejig it and move it around. So Susie, you've just put where I got just a quick look, make sure you put post-it notes with activities and working out how my week fits together. Not only helped me focus, it allowed me to get clarity and realize I had time to work on my business as well as in it, and that helped me to achieve my goals much more quickly. You've put, we have more customers now than we did back then, and I used to work 60 hours a week. I can now do more work in just 30 hours. Clarity and focus is amazing, and I couldn't have done it without your support. Oh, thanks. Not a great way to start my Monday. So what I want you to do, my challenge for you guys is I'd like to have a photograph of your diary, as long as it doesn't compromise any sort of personal, even if it's the front of it or the side of it. Tell me what diary you're using. Tell me what works about it. Tell me what doesn't work about it and what needs to happen for it to work better. And I have a favour to ask of you, because my diary, I need to create time in it right now, because I am a trustee for Square Peg's charity in Gosport, my local town. And they have a vision very similar to mine, in that they want to eliminate isolation in our local community. And they have worked really hard in the last 2 years to create a venue and a hub, and where people can come in off the street, have a cup of coffee, have a cake, but join in with things like craft clubs, join in with things like sewing clubs, knitting clubs, where sometimes when you've got a problem and when you feel really alone with yourself, the last thing you really want to do is actually go and talk to somebody. I'm very lucky that my clients have got the courage and the self-awareness that they know that the talking will make a difference. They've got the finances to actually invest in themselves. But there are many, many people in our community that don't know the power of talking. They don't know that all of us have this challenge with stuff in our head, and they get stuck in isolation, feeling like it's just them. And if they admit to the world how difficult they're finding things, if they admit to the world how confused their thoughts are in their head, how much overwhelm they've got, that people will think less of them. And Square Peg's charity is an organisation, a centre for people to come in where complete acceptance of whoever you are, whatever your creed, colour, whatever you've got a condition, autism, ADHD, whatever in disability, doesn't matter how you look or behave, or you will be accepted. And they are doing an amazing, amazing job. And they've got to pay their rent every month. So I want to be able to support them. And so I'm going to be busy this week looking at ways I could be creative. So I'm launching my Sponsor Slim again. I'm telling you for the first time for a little while that I'm going back on track. I've lost 19 pounds off the 50 pounds I set out last year to do. And so I'm going to lose the 31. So I'm going to look for sponsorship for that. But I also want to ask you, would you be prepared to pay me for 2 hours once a month if I put on a 2-hour webinar to talk to you about how I'm achieving all? How am I getting wealth, health and happiness? If I shared with you my models of what works for me and actually put together some webinars once a month, and then I want to donate all of that money, if I can put 2 hours together and I get enough people on the call, I want to put all that money to Square Pegs for the next 3 months. So I want to put a 2-hour call on. It'll all be about do more of what you love, ditch the critic says you can't. It'll be sharing things like the do, delegate or ditch, the diary management, about how we perceive time, how we make decisions. I'll be sharing stories about how my family may be asking me to do things and how I'm managing to say no or not, or what am I doing, how am I prioritizing? And I want to know what you'd be prepared to pay for that. If you could have 3 2-hour sessions with me, and I'm sharing with you practical ways for you to have it all, and I'm sharing with you the ups, downs, the truth, the honesty, the bits where I screw it up and I wish I had more time and I've run out of time, times when I'm feeling elated because I feel at peace and everything's coming together. If you'd be interested and you'd be prepared to invest in that, tell me below. Yes, I'm interested, and this is how much I'd be prepared to pay for 3 webinars. You let me know if you're going to do it and you want to do it. I'm going to put it on. Otherwise, I will put my time into something else, okay? Because I really want to help this charity. I'm prepared to donate a percentage of my income every month. I'm going to do anything I can because they are helping people in the community that I am not resourced to help. They are helping people. They're supporting so many people in the community that have become so isolated for all sorts of reasons. A lovely lady I interviewed on Saturday has an accident at work. Washing machine fell on her, crushed the left-hand side of her body. When she returned home, she was on the 2nd floor flat with no lift, couldn't come out, and her young teenage daughter had to become a main carer. And it took 7 months before the system recognised that she was stuck at home. The GP knew, but they didn't talk to social services, so the support that she needed to get out and about was left with her young teenage daughter. She was in isolation. Now, had she been a member of Square Pegs, had she been coming in there, had people known her, they would have noticed she was missing, and she would have got that support much sooner. And that's the trouble with our communities. We've got some fantastic superstores now that make food buying very quick and convenient, and we can all get there. But it's a massive store, and the manager wouldn't know for toffee whether we've been in that week or not. Whereas our old small corner shops where we go in every single day or every single week, if they haven't seen us for a while, the community shopkeeper would have been checking to see if we're okay. So just think about that for a moment, because I really need your help. I'm also going to put a link to the charity page below. If you are somebody who'd like to, you understand the power of being listened to, and if you get value out of my free videos I put out there, they really need the help in the next 3 months. So if you're thinking this is worth £10, £5, £50, whatever you think these free videos are worth for you, if you could donate to their page, you can keep the centre open and you can keep the doors open so that people in our local community can come in and have someone to talk to. So that's my call out for a Motivational Monday. I'm trusting that you've got something out of the Do, Delegate or Ditch, the diary. Is it too big or too small? And that you'll share those stories with me and you'll give me some feedback. Do you want more of this? Do you want to join me on a 2-hour webinar once a month and over 3 months, learn how you can have it all? Lots of love to you all. Have a fantastic week. Speak to you soon.